Let's get into why I quit my job to start a business. Oh. Okay, y'all, what up? This video is about to be a doozy. Mostly for me. I'm gonna have to breathe through this story because it still triggers me 6 years later, which is wild, but here we are. But let's get into why I quit my job to start a business. First, a little backstory. So in college, shout out to Hampton University again, I studied graphic design. That was my major. So I studied art/graphic design. And I thought upon graduation that I wanted to work for like a design firm. Like I was gonna be at some like advertising firm or some like spunky design firm and be like one of their like top graphic designers. And after I graduated college, I did get a job at a firm. Not exactly. It was more of like a startup because it had an owner and one employee, and I made second employee, so there were 3 of us. But somehow, the owner always forgot to pay me on payday. Now again, there were just 2 employees, and the other person always got paid, and she made way more than I did. And so I was starting to feel some type of way, and I was like, maybe this dude just doesn't like me or whatever. But like my measly little coins every month, like there's no way you could just like forget to pay someone. So like after a while, I was just like, this isn't working out. Like clearly you don't want me here. I don't want to be here anymore. But I also was still working retail, so I had a second job. So I was able to just leave that and then continue working my retail job. But like I wanted to be in design, obviously. But like I was taking the train in the morning to the design job, and then I would leave there, take the train back home, eat, change, and then go to my retail job at night, and then rinse and repeat every day for like a while. And it seems like a lot, like saying it out loud, but I was young. Like it didn't mean much to me. Like I was to the point where I would like leave that job at night, come home, change, and then go out with friends. So like again, young. I was like in my 20s. So it was nothing. Can I do that now? Definitely not. Absolutely not. But then I ended up resigning from my retail job so that I could go to grad school in England, which was a very interesting experience. Maybe I'll talk about that one day. But I went to grad school in England to study communication design, which is just like a more robust curriculum of graphic design, and I absolutely loved it. And after that, I came back home to the States, and it took like a year to find a job. I was trying for all these graphic design firms, and like none of them were biting. And so I ended up getting a job at a print shop. And this wasn't like your typical like Minuteman Press or Fast Signs. Like this was like a very developed print company, print production company. And I wasn't working in graphic design, but I was working in the like print production, like pre-production, pre-press department, and I learned a lot from that job, and I'm super grateful for it. But eventually they went bankrupt, so we all got laid off, and some of us went to like other print shops, and the one that I went to was an hour commute every single day, and I had to be there at 7 a.m. So I had to get up at like 5:30. No, I'm sorry. I had to get up at like 4:35 to get ready, to leave by 6, to get there by 7, work until, I think I worked till 3, and then an hour commute home, And like after, like it was the dead of winter, so like sometimes I'd have to get up earlier to scrape the ice and snow off my car. Because mind you, like I didn't live in California, I was in New Jersey. That's where I'm originally from. So it was a lot, and I was so over it. And like 90 days in, I was just like, I requested a meeting and I was like, can I have a 30-day leave of absence? I had already, like a week before that, bought a one-way ticket to LA in like the middle of the night. And I had my eyes set on getting a job in graphic design by any means necessary. Like that was my passion. I wanted to create. And so that's what I did. They accepted my 30-day leave of absence, and I hightailed it to LA and moved in with my brother and his wife for a few months. And then that's pretty much when everything started, and that's where we will begin the job from hell. If you have ever worked for a narcissist, 0 out of 10 do not recommend. There are signs. You will see the signs. You will ignore the signs. I beg you to no longer ignore those signs and just get out. I'm pretty sure that this job is what manifested, or at least like woke up what was inside of me. Like my endometriosis came alive, and that's when like everything started health-wise for me to like just go down the hill. So when I first moved to LA, ironically, my old coworker from a job in New Jersey had also moved to California, but he moved to San Diego, and the job he was working for was hiring a graphic designer, and he thought of me like, thank you. At the time, I was like, thanks. And referred me to the owner, and they ended up, we had a phone interview. They said to come down there for a day, see what we do, blah, blah, blah. Did that. And then they ended up offering me the job, and I started like a week or so later. I think I actually started when I was still in LA, because I started working in LA. And then Memorial Day weekend, I moved down to San Diego and started the next like Tuesday, because I think Monday is Memorial Day. So yeah, I started that Tuesday after Memorial Day. So at first, it was all rose-colored glasses, right? Like the boss seemed really cool. The coworkers seemed really nice. I had my own office. Like I'm talking like glass window to the hallway, like a nice office chair, big they got us all like Mac computers and monitors, and they gave us like a budget to decorate the space and whatever we wanted, like to let them know, and they would get it. We had we celebrated birthdays, and we had lunches sometimes, and it was just like my first like big girl job. That's what it felt like. And I was doing design work, and that was like super important to me. And I was like, I did it. Like I quit a job, I moved to California like I've always wanted to, and now I'm doing the thing that I wanted to do, that I've gotten a degree in, 2 degrees in, and I'm here, I've made it, and this is wonderful. I'm super excited. But then like little things started to happen, and it made me feel a little like apprehensive. And I was like, am I like not trusting myself? Am I not trusting? Like I started questioning myself. And that's now, hindsight's 2020. That's when I knew like something was wrong, but I wasn't like clocking it at the time. So I was supposed to have a 90-day review, which would have put me at the salary that I should have started at. And, you know, they have that like probationary period. Most jobs do. And that 90-day review kept getting pushed back. I don't think I had it until like a year in. And at this point, like I should even be higher than the starting salary that I was supposed to be at. Nadine Elisa here. I forgot to mention that at this point I was hired as a graphic designer, but at this point I was the graphic designer, the customer service rep, the account manager, and the fulfillment manager as well, one of the fulfillment managers. So I was doing the roles of like 4 to 5 people at the same base rate that I got hired for. Also, a few months into that job, the coworker that referred me to the job ended up leaving. And I think a lot of it was because he felt San Diego was like dumb expensive, which true. And then maybe the job itself was a little mundane for him because it was like a small company. And we did a lot. We did digital marketing, graphic design, print and production, and also fulfillment. So we would like be like a 3PL, which is like a third party logistics company where, like, say you have a brand that sells a product and you offload that packing and shipping and all of that stuff to a third party. Like, we would be that third party that would take all of the orders that come in, pack and ship them out for you. So we did a lot. It was a very small company though, but we did a lot. And so I think he was in sales and like whatever. Maybe he saw something that I didn't see and he didn't tell me, but he left. And so I started again noticing other little things that just like kept happening. And I was just like, that's strange. Like, we stopped celebrating birthdays, stopped with the lunches. We moved offices, which we just moved like right next door. And it was like very abrupt. Like, we had to just like pack up everything and then move to another office. And it was supposed to be like a bigger office, but I got put in another office, but then I was given like a roommate essentially. Like, I no longer had my own office. I was now working in a space with somebody else. And then the micromanaging started too. Like, little by little, things started happening where, like, when I first started, she was like, I'm not a micromanager. I don't do this. I don't do that. And then started doing all of the things that they said they didn't do. And I was like, am I in like a Twilight Zone? The morale was so low, like to the point where people were getting hired and then fired, or they would leave. Like, it was just like the turnover rate was insanity. And I remember sometimes like people would get hired and the boss would come to me and be like, can you walk them through like our company culture and like let them know how things work around here? And I was like, what company culture? Because I'm sorry, what? We have no company culture. We have no camaraderie. There's no teamwork. There's no standard of excellence. I don't understand what I'm supposed to tell this person. And I think that I was supposed to like let them know, like, maybe what she says goes, like do what she said. Like, I don't know, but I was so confused because I was like, we literally have no company culture. There's no handbook. We had no HR person. Like, there's no standard as to how we're supposed to be here. And like, it was very confusing, and I don't know, but my body started reacting to everything. And that's when like my period started getting worse. For a couple of months, like, I noticed I was having like a never-ending period. Like, I was bleeding for like at least 2 months before I was able to like see a doctor and figure out what was happening. And a year later I had a surgery for it. And then literally the week I came back to work, she was like, oh, we're dropping health insurance. Like, you guys are going to have to find your own health insurance, and it should be way cheaper than like what was coming out of your paycheck every month. And I was like, are you do you know what's happening in the world? Granted, this was like 2019, I think. And healthcare was not cheap by any means. It never has been here in the States. But for it to no longer be offered through a job, and sorry, I have something in my eye. Yeah, for it to be no longer offered through a job and having to go through the exchange to pay out of pocket on your own, crazy expensive. Like, crazy expensive. And I was like, what is going on? What is happening right now? And like the fact that she waited until after my surgery, like I was like, oh, I should be grateful for that. But then I was looking back and like thinking on it, and I was like, that was hella manipulative. And yeah, I just felt like I was being punished for like using the health insurance that I pay to use. Yeah, so my period started getting worse. I had to start calling out of work because it was so bad. Like, I could not get out of the bed. And so I would miss at least 2 days of work every single month, like clockwork. And at first, she was so compassionate about it, told me about her friend's daughter who had similar issues. And then eventually, she started using it against me. So if I'd call out, little things were said, or like she'd put a like team member against me, or pit our team against each other somehow. And I was just like, what is happening? Why is this happening? And like, it just got to a point where I was just like completely fed up with all of it. And then enters COVID. So at this point, the turnover rate was insane. COVID hit, and the entire production team in the back warehouse left because for whatever reason, our boss would not stop working and told us that we were essential workers, like how, grocery store or medical, like if you're a nurse or a doctor, like all those like essential workers that had to work during COVID, she was like, we are also essential and you have to come into work every single day. And like people were coming in and not wearing masks. And at the time, they also had moved offices again, but I was still in an old office. And eventually she moved me to the new office because she could no longer have eyes on me and know what I was doing. At this point, I felt like all like computer monitors and things were being like monitored or like surveillanced or something, because it was crazy. But the conditions of working there were just not safe, and I didn't feel safe working there and having to go there in person. Also, in between all of that time, I'm leaving a lot out, I think, too, because I've blocked out a lot because of trauma, and some things still trigger me even thinking about this job. But at some point in between that and COVID happening, or between whatever, somewhere in between this job, I called her out. And I think I was the only one, or I was the first one to call her out. And I got punished for that as well by being moved from salary to hourly. I got my job title stripped. Like, it could no longer be on my email signature because she didn't know. She needed to find a new title name for me, and the one that was there wasn't working anymore. And then my pay got cut too, and that was because of COVID. And so I had to come into the new warehouse space and clock in every day and clock out every day. And there was this new merit system where if something went wrong, you had to like get written up and you had to sign the write-up. And I was like, are we in grade school? Like, what is happening? Miss Kev on stage, anyway, Melissa has this thing where she says the raccoons have knives. This is it, okay? The raccoons have knives. Yeah, all of these things were happening. I was getting blamed for a lot of things that I had zero to do with. Like this one time I went on vacation, anytime I went on vacation or anytime I took time off, it was considered a vacation because we didn't have the typical PTO. It was either vacation or sick days. So if we took a vacation, it was just like taking time off. But sometimes I get like a week-long vacation, so I would take that week-long vacation. And one time I did, and I came back, and there was an email that had went out while I was gone that everyone in that office sat on, including the boss. And when I came back, there had been an order, a very important order that got shipped out, and it arrived damaged. And in that email, it stated how to ship that order. But because I was away and on vacation and did not relay that to the team of people who were also CC'd on that email, I was the one that got blamed for that. And that was my last straw, because there's no way on God's green earth that that's okay. And for no one else to take responsibility. And literally, she had everyone blame me, even though everyone was on that email, saw that email, knew what they should have been doing to pack that order, did not need me telling them what to do whilst I was on vacation. And when I'm on vacation, there are other people in charge. Did they get blamed? No, they did not. And this is why I get so mad. So yeah, I was done. So we came to an impasse, and I basically was like, fire me or give me 30 days leave of absence. I love a 30-day leave of absence, but give me a 30-day leave of absence. We need some space. I need time to figure out what it is that I want in my life. And I took those 30 days. I created my website for Illustrated Melanin. And at the end of those 30 days, I started my business because there was no way I was going back there to that place. And in the time of those 30 days, I was supposed to be sent a new offer letter with a job title, a salary, and all of these things. And none of that happened. And when I wrote like the official bye-bye, I'm not coming back, their response was, you should have reminded me to send what I needed to send. Looking back, I realized like I was clearly being love bombed at the beginning of this job and then gaslit by the end of it. And gaslighting wasn't even a term yet in like 2019, 2020. I don't think it was a term yet. Like it was clearly a thing happening, but it wasn't like a term. I was being gaslit that entire 2.5 years that I worked there. And it was insane. Now, am I where I want to be 6 years later with Illustrated Melanin? Not at all. But I'm so much happier. I'm so much happier. I'm doing what I love. I am giving back in tiny ways. I am working with people that I like just admire and appreciate so much. And like I just vow to never be a leader that way. I think that's like my one biggest thing in like having this business. Once I have like a team, like I just vow to never be a narcissistic leader. I don't think that's a very hard thing to do, but you never know. I don't know, but I'm very glad that I made that decision to leave. It was a very toxic environment, very toxic relationship, and I'm all the better for it. Follow your passions, people. I'm not telling you to quit your jobs, please, by any means, but like If you and your body, mind, and soul know that you should not be where you are, find an alternative. Like, find a way to get out, find another job, start a business, like whatever your path is, do that. But like, don't stay in a space that clearly doesn't want you there, clearly isn't meant for you to be there, is not your purpose that God has aligned for you and set aside for you. Believe and have confidence that you are meant for so much more, and you deserve so much more and so much better. If you've ever worked in a toxic job or toxic environment, let me know. Like, tell me your war. Let's swap war stories. Tell me, like, what was the final straw that made you leave? If you think that you're in one right now, like, quietly let me know what's happening. But yeah, like, I wish that I saw things sooner, but I also feel like things worked out as they should have, because I could not have imagined a global pandemic coming in and just like changing the course of everything that happens in this world. But in a way, I'm grateful for it. I know that it was a very like trying and traumatic and sad time for a lot of us too. Like, there are two ends to every thing. And I also feel like it was my opportunity to get out of a situation that my body no longer could stand to be in. Like, I was literally getting sicker and sicker by the day because of that job. And I don't know, like, if I would have made it through. You know what I mean? So, yeah, everything happens for a reason. And whew, I'm just glad to be on the other side of that. And I hope and I pray that I don't ever have to experience something like that again, because man, oh man. So yes, that is why I quit my job to start a business, and I think that I made the right decision. So I'm still on my 31-day journey. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Please give it a thumbs up if you did. If you're not already subscribed, please subscribe. Hit that subscribe button and join me on this 31-day journey so that you don't miss a beat. And stay tuned, because I have another video coming up tomorrow, obviously. And I hope to see you there. All right. Peace.